Hey everyone, guess what? Battlefield 6 is going to be the next COD killer. We'll finally be rid of skill based matchmaking, right?
Just was wondering, is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
Yes, it is. April Fools. It's all but confirmed that Battlefield 6 is going to have skill based matchmaking. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Fixer, in your Call of Duty videos, you said that every game has some sort of skill based matchmaking. What's the big deal? Yes, I did. So this isn't really a surprise, and that's exactly why I can make the title what it is, because it's definitely going to be in the game. But I'm making this video because it's probably going to be a lot worse than we expected. A lot of you may remember my last video about SBMM in Call of Duty. It was my first video that really blew up, and a lot of my subscribers right now came from that video. Hey guys. And one of the key points that I made in that video was that Activision, the publishers of Call of Duty, are using a newer and more predatory version of what we used to call skill-based matchmaking, which is now called engagement optimized matchmaking, or EOMM, to keep people playing the game for as long as possible and in turn spending as much money as possible. As a quick refresher, this system will place you in lobbies where you might be stomping noobs in one match, and then you'll be the one getting stomped in the next match. And a lot of longtime players have noticed that this feels really unnatural, and it doesn't feel like old games used to feel, and it's really become a hot button issue in the Call of Duty community. Well, we have some new information that this same engagement optimized matchmaking system could be coming to Battlefield 6. Boo. EA has just filed a continuation on a patent on adaptive difficulty adjustment. This is a patent that they've had since 2016 that they're now renewing in order to maintain. Now I have the patent pulled up here and I'm going to point out a few key parts of it and we'll go over it together. But the general idea of this patent is that they can monitor a player's performance and compare it with that player's churn rate. Now, churn rate or churn time is how long it takes for the player to stop engaging with the product after a positive or negative experience. From there, they put that player into a group with data from other players, and then they use those groups of players to create what they call seeds of difficulty. Then they experiment with these groupings and see how they can tweak the difficulty of your game to keep you playing longer. Now, EA claims that they don't use this system in multiplayer games like FIFA or Madden, and in fact, they were actually sued over that fact. Apparently, they were able to provide evidence that they don't use this system in multiplayer, and the case was dropped. So my hunch is that they just use this system for mobile games and single-player games right now. You know, the stuff with all the microtransactions where they can really make a lot of money by keeping you playing. But like, no matter what they say, we can all totally see where this is going, right? And just because this patent isn't being used in multiplayer currently doesn't mean that they don't have a similar piece of software in development for Battlefield 6, you know? This system will be used the same way as it is in COD. Your matches will end up being sweatfests because the only way they can keep the 13-year-olds on Adderall engaged with the game long enough to spend their parents' money is by putting them into sweaty lobbies that always keep them engaged. For us boomers, I guess I'm a boomer now, I like to just play with the same people over and over again, you know, make friends in the lobby, that sort of thing. That stuff doesn't happen anymore. If you want to experience what old school multiplayer used to feel like, I'm not even that old. Like, I never played multiplayer games in the 90s, you know, there's people who did that, and they'll tell you the same thing. Back in the day, you used to be in a lobby with the same group of people, like, for hours, and you would get to learn how they play and, like, goof around with them and just have fun. Nobody really tried that hard, and if you did, you normally got made fun of. But that's all gone now. Battlefield is gonna be a sweat fest. No more driving Jeeps with C4 strapped to it into other people just for fun. We're all gonna have to camp now, I guess. I digress. This is all still my speculation, but I really think this patent is like writing on the wall. So, without further ado, let's dive into the patent together and just look at some of the diagrams to get a better idea of what we're up against. Oh, I also want to mention that the whole reason I found this patent is thanks to my friend Maverick GG, who you may remember from the Call of Duty SBMM video. Definitely drop him a follow on Twitter and TikTok. He's always posting stuff about gaming related news and like shady business. So if you're into that sort of stuff like I am, definitely give him a follow. Now let's just quickly jump into this patent. I'm not going to go over the whole thing. I already kind of went over the basics, but I just want to show you how they kind of have the process broken down. And again, this is just for single player games, supposedly. But it kind of gives you an inside glimpse into how the process works in the back end and how it could very easily be repurposed for multiplayer in the future. So basically, they just have some prediction models of like tracking when users churn from the game, like we talked about earlier, when they turn off the game, what causes them to turn off the game, and they analyze that data, and then they put users into groups, and then they determine how best to serve those groups with different seeds of difficulty. So they track everyone's data, they put people into groups, they say, okay, this person fits in group A, which responds best whenever the game is easy, and they continue to play when the game is easy. Group B likes a little bit of a challenge. They keep playing right after a really close win and a really close loss. So you have to make sure every single match of theirs is super, super tough. And I think that's where like this engagement optimized matchmaking system kind of fails with multiplayer, is the vast majority of average players get punished the most because they just like playing the game like to win and also to goof off. So like they're not always playing at 100%, but then this algorithm thinks that they need to be playing at 100% all the time in order to stay engaged, which isn't necessarily true, and it actually turns a lot of people off. And then group C might only play if they have an extreme challenge, something like that. And again, this is broken down into terms of single player games, so this might be something like losing a life on Candy Crush or something, like replaying the same Candy Crush level 10 times. Maybe on that 11th try, if they think you're about to close the game, they might reshuffle the board for you to make it easier. That's what this patent is talking about, but you can see how easily it could be switched to multiplayer. They actually specifically bring up the example of rubber banding in racing games. So if you play racing games, you probably know what I'm talking about, where if you fall really far behind in the beginning of a race, the AI opponents can only get so far ahead of you so that you always have a slight chance of being able to catch up and win the race. That kind of adaptive difficulty I actually think is super important for video games and actually makes a ton of sense. It allows things to actually be fun, like it also works in the reverse where AI is able to catch up with you at ungodly speeds sometimes to at least make that end of the race a little bit closer. Now, obviously, it could easily be overdone. For the most part, systems like that are necessary for most games to be fun, especially once you get really good at them. But in a multiplayer environment, it just feels unnatural, and unfortunately that's the reality that we're in. But anyway, guys, I'm not going to go into too much more detail on this. You can read the whole patent if you'd like. I'm going to leave all my sources for this video in the description. I already voiced my opinion on this earlier. I think that this is like a really sad state for gaming where it's all about engagement and just keeping people playing as long as possible. The idea of like drip feeding content, which we've been seeing a lot of live service games do now, it all just kind of rubs me the wrong way in that I'm just being stringed along with the end goal of getting me to spend money. The good news is this isn't the end of video games. It's just going to be the end of these super high budget $100 million games where they need to get their money back one way or another. Those games are almost more like experiences now rather than like a complete product that you play from beginning to end, if that makes sense. Anyway, support your indie devs. Remember, EA bad. indie games good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have been posting in my Discord what I've been up to. I have a Halo video planned, but this kind of popped up on my radar and I just wanted to cover it because I know a lot of you guys enjoyed my coverage of previous skill-based matchmaking topics. So I appreciate all the support. We are getting dangerously close to 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which is blowing my mind. So I would really appreciate if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more content like this in my style. I cover a variety of gaming topics, from skill-based matchmaking to gaming news to Escape from Tarkov mods. So if you like my kind of style of presenting things, I'd really appreciate a subscription, and I'll try to keep you entertained as much as I can. Let's hope Battlefield 6 is good, guys. Peace out.